I know you see me do a lot more food or fitness or routine, structure, like basically how to give yourself more mental bandwidth and not focus on your health and fitness as much where it's just an autopilot behavior. It's just a part of who you are. It doesn't require stress. It doesn't require much thought about your meal prep or what you eat or when it's sustenance, when it's celebration, like you enjoy working out. So that's more of the feel I know you get from this channel, because ultimately for a lot of the women I'm surrounded by, we're busy working moms, or we're full-time moms, or we're just busy working women. And the stressors we have in life now are so different from what we might have grown up with or been surrounded by with our parents or our grandparents. It feels like there's more hustle. It feels like there is more of this mentality where I have to be it all, do it all, have it all. And that comes at a cost sometimes of the individual, aka us, burning out. And so not only do I focus on food and fitness and all that stuff for our coaching community, for my community that I, have over on Facebook and Instagram, but also on getting clear as to who it is that you are and what you want out of life. Because if you don't have clarity of vision of what that looks like, you sometimes just feel like you're going through the motions and you're just doing things because you should. I am a mom, so I should do this. I work full time and I have good work ethic, so I should do this. I'm a wife, so I should do this. A friend, I should do this. And all of this should mentality or have to mentality sometimes comes at a cost where you start to lose yourself and you almost start to have resentment. And a lot of times what we have realized as we've gone through our own process of understanding who we are and what we want and getting a lot of mental clarity on focusing on what we want, we've realized that so many of us, we don't know what we want, and we don't have any values set for ourselves, whether it's for ourselves as an individual, as our role with our family, as our role in our career, as a friend, in our community, in our relationships. And when we don't know what we value, then it's hard to really set standards with what you value if you have no clarity on the value itself. And so I am actually going to do a little something different here. I want to share a call that I did over on Facebook in my free community group and on my personal page, where I was talking about the values we have and the standards we hold, and how sometimes as women, I know that it just can feel like a lot. I know it can feel like there are so many roles that we play and so many expectations that we feel are set for those roles. And if we don't live up to the expectation, we can feel really low about ourselves. So I was given a little bit of clarity on how to decide in what season of life the roles that are most important to you, the values of the season that are most important to you. So I'm actually gonna play that call for you right here so you can kind of see how my brain thinks with this kind of stuff, how I create in my own life more mental bandwidth to enjoy the things that I really want, how I might have some mediocre standards here, high standards for other things, depending on the season of life, and how I'm 100% at peace with that and knowing I can't do it all and I can't be it all, because that means that it comes at a cost of me just not really being excellent in anything. So let me drop that call right here, give it a watch, and that's gonna be today's episode. So hope you enjoy this call. Would love some feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if the message resonated with you. Feel free to share it with, other friends or women that might need to hear it, and hit that red subscribe button if you haven't done so yet so you get future episodes. All right, chat soon. Yeah. Well, the boys are off school today for Labor Day because they'll do the daycare flip where they're going to move up to a new classroom. So I got to the office super early to do a lot of communication with the clients and to make sure everything was squared away with the team. And then I started thinking about, I was actually listening to a podcast a couple days ago. I really am into mom podcasts right now when I want to do more like personal development stuff. So I love listening to food and, nutrition and exercise and mindset stuff, and I'm like really into the mom stuff right now. And it was a really good conversation that they were having about like the roles we play and the standards we have. And I actually talk about this a lot in the program about getting clear as to the identity of the person you want to be, right? And there's many roles within our identity. And if you're watching this, you're probably similar to me. You might be a mom, you might be a full-time working mom, you might be the mom that is running the household, you're the CEO of the household, you might be social, right? You might actually really like connecting with friends, you might prioritize and value family and relationships and giving and community and all of these things. And there's all these roles as a woman that we like to play, like we enjoy doing it, right? But sometimes it can start to feel a little bit stressful, or you can start to feel a little bit of burnout, maybe even resentment in those roles because you become overly exhausted. And a lot of that, what I've realized, and after I was like listening to this call and I've gotten clear on my identity, is really like the expectations we put on ourselves or the standards we put on ourselves in the roles that we play. And some of that is influenced by maybe different things we saw growing up and the expectations that we saw were put on our parents that created, some stories and beliefs of how we should be as a mom and how we should be as a parent and how we should be as a significant other. Maybe it was something you read in a book. Like maybe you went all in when you found out you were pregnant and you read all these mom books and you put all of these expectations on yourself to raise your standard to be the highest possible standard of how you're going to parent and how you're going to be with your work ethic and how you're going to be in your relationships, that you just give to the point where there's nothing left of you. And so sometimes these different roles, if we don't have clarity as to what our own standards are and what we value as an individual, what we might value as a family unit, what we might value in our relationship with our significant other, if we don't have clarity, that's where we're going to be let down, right? If we have these expectations and these super high standards in all of the roles that we play, something's going to have to give. But we've grown up in this like hustle mentality, right? Like do more, be more, have more, and it comes at a cost of us almost losing ourselves and complete exhaustion. And so what I've realized and what I try to do like in our program with our women is get super clear on the roles that you play and the season of life that you're in, and be okay maybe lowering your standards in certain roles based on the season. And we don't have to be it all. We don't have to do it all. We have to take care of ourselves so we can go out and be the best Angie and the best version or whoever it is in the role that we play, rather than being let down. Like we set these unrealistic expectations and then we feel guilty or we feel bad that we couldn't execute at that level that we set for ourselves. And so if we look at, okay, is this a season of push and grow, right? Maybe that's in your family. Maybe that's in your career. Maybe that's in your marriage, right? Like what season are you in right now? Like there are going to be seasons where we can go all in and we can push and we can have momentum. Like I'm going to go all in on my health and fitness, or I'm going to go all in on being an amazing mom, and I'm going to show up at every activity and I'm going to get them to every activity, and I want to be at every event at school and I want to volunteer. And then there's going to be other seasons you're like, hey, you know what? This is push and grow in my career, right? And that means that might come at a realistic expectation that I might not be at every sporting event, or I might not be able to be as present with my health and fitness, but really understanding the season that you're in. So sometimes it's going to be push and grow, and other seasons, it's stay consistent, maintain, and hold on, right? Like if you're a new mom, there is a part of that season where you're like, I just got to hold on, right? I got to make it. I've got to make it to the end of the day. I got to make it to the next day. And if you are real about that and you set expectations that are realistic, you don't feel let down. Like there's not one more thing we need to be let down on in life, right? We need to enjoy life. We need to love the moments of life. And if we get realistic and we know what our standards are in these seasons, there no longer will be let down. There's no longer going to be that feeling of complete exhaustion and burnout and resentment, because that's not a place that any of us want to live. That's not why we do the roles that we do. Like I know myself as a mom, like one of the standards, like, okay, I'll give you an example right now about lowering the bar and the expectations and how to do that. So I grew up in a family, and maybe some of you are similar to me, where my mom, I don't know how she did it, but she had a dinner on the table that was a new dinner every single night. And even with 3 siblings and we were all very active, I don't know how she did it, but we all ate dinner, pretty much what I remember, every single night. The other piece of that, though, is I remember my mom being completely exhausted. She worked all day. She loved her work. She was a paralegal. She'd somehow make it to every activity. She'd get dinner on the table and she'd fall asleep in the middle of dinner, where we all thought like, oh, this is a great environment. We're here. We're going to connect. It's like this family unit. And she made an expectation for herself and set a standard to have dinner on the table every single night. But she was exhausted by it. And so I went through life thinking, as a mom, no matter what, if you work full-time or you are full-time in the household, like you have dinner on that table and everybody sits down together. I literally said this before I had the boys. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And then I get to the season of life where I have kids. And I was like, that is not what I'm going to do. I got to lower my expectations because I started to feel such guilt over it that I couldn't get dinner onto the table. I'm like, what's wrong with you? How can you not literally get dinner on the table for 2 kids and yourself and your husband, right? And then I started to realize, oh, the season of life that I'm in right now, I was moving across the country. I was saying goodbye to my mom. I was building a business basically from the ground up again after saying goodbye to another one that was, 10 years in the making. Like I was in a season of growth in my career and in settling my family in a new environment and settling myself. So if I have to lower the expectations of how I run the dinner routine, I'm okay with that. I'm okay being mediocre for that. And so I don't mind when I pick up the boys from daycare because they stay a little bit later because Paul and I are pushing so hard on building our company and building our team and our community that I don't get home with them till 5:45 or 6. And so by the time I'd actually sit down and have dinner on the table, they don't want to do that. All they want, and I started to realize this, and this is the expectation now, they just want to spend time with us. They don't want to sit down at the table. So why did I put that standard on myself and felt such guilt over it that I couldn't execute, that I wasn't good enough to do it? And I'm like, no, you know what the expectation is? Be present with your kids. That's my new expectation. So if they want, one wants cottage cheese and one wants mac and cheese literally every single night. And I'm like, doesn't matter. You don't have to introduce new foods. You don't have to be that mom. Just give them what they want because what they want is to spend time with you. So now we're outside, we're blowing bubbles, we're riding tricycles. And my new expectation is hey, if they eat peanut butter and jelly and mac and cheese and cottage cheese and some fruit every single night, it doesn't matter to me because what they really need and what they really, really want is a mom who can be there and be playful with them and be energized. Maybe it's laundry for you. Maybe you have this expectation that you have to have the household so tidied and cleaned up, but maybe you're in a season of life right now that you want to go with your kids to their activities or you want to push in your career. And so the household duties that you hold yourself to a standard to be the most tidied home and cleaned up home and everything just runs like a top. Maybe you give yourself a little bit of grace right now and be like, that laundry on the floor, it can stay there another night. Because what I really want to do is head up to the baseball game, or what I really want to do is go on a family walk or a walk with a girlfriend or a drink with a girlfriend. These things that we build up in our head based on the standards and the expectations, they're going to let you down if they're not realistic in the season of life that you're in. So get clear. Know what roles you play. Know the standards you're setting for yourself right now with those roles. And are the expectations of that realistic? Is it going to make you feel like at the end of the day that you added to the quality of your life rather than feeling like you're just going through the motions and feeling little bit stuck? That's what I had to do. I had to reevaluate the standards that I put on myself and really get clear as to what actually matters. What do you actually want to be remembered by? I don't care if my kids remember how many times I empty the dishwasher now or do the laundry. What I do care is that they remember mom being present with them and being energized. In my career, I don't care if people, whatever it is, remember me by except making a positive impact. And I can't do that if I set unrealistic standards in my own business and in my own life that doesn't allow me to show up with energy and presence and vibrancy and a magnetic self. So hopefully that gives you some clarity. Hopefully now you'll reevaluate the expectations you put on yourself because the only one putting them on you is you. Maybe you learned it from somewhere else, but you get to decide now what makes most sense for you, for your family, for your life and everything else. So give me a heart, give me a thumbs up if that all makes sense. If you're watching this live, would love if you share a takeaway below if this hit you in a certain way. If you feel like there's someone, a mom in your life or a friend in your life that needs to hear this too, that you're like, we all walk alongside each other and we all do set some expectations that maybe aren't realistic. And if we can all help each other recognize that and support one another and figure out a way to make things just feel easier, that's what I'm here to do. Give me a hashtag replay if you watch this later. Okay, have a good Friday. I'm off to go actually switch with Paul, and we're gonna go to a new little play place, the boys and I, and have ice cream for lunch. Maybe after grilled cheese. We'll see. Okay,